Lime Rock has been home to many great races, both in iRacing and in real wheel-to-wheel racing. However, the crash that David Gaspers had at the Charlotte Roval has thrown the championship exactly wide open. Lawrence Arabian's great results have Gaspers chasing for points, but with only one round after the Lime Rock today, Gaspers has absolutely got to put his best foot forward. Will Gaspers put the crash behind him, or will it come to haunt his driving and tactics at the Lime Rock Classic? Stick your TVs, your YouTube streams, and glue your eyes to Formula V Weekend Warriors here at the Global SimRacing Channel. I am Robert O'Brien, and with me in the booth today is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director Joe Peake, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Lime Rock, while not being the biggest track on the roster, can still provide plenty of close, frantic racing between cars. Let's go to our track guide to learn more about this prestigious track.
Welcome to Lime Rock Park. Located in the northwest corner of Connecticut, this unassuming little track has garnered a surprisingly passionate following. Its unique aspects create a circuit not only full of character, but consistently challenging even to modern race cars. While it has 4 different possible layouts, on the classic version, only 7 corners are split along a 1.5 mile track with just a single one of them turning left. Though simple in appearance, most drivers will tell you that trying to be fast here is anything but. The run down the front stretch into Big Bend offers pretty much the only viable passing spot, but it's a double apex right-hander which lures drivers into taking it too fast. The uphill is also scary quick considering its lack of runoff and can sometimes cause cars to get airborne over its crest. Then, on the opposite end, the downhill sends cars diving into a quick sweeper, which requires a good exit speed in order to defend or attack back into the first corner. Modern racing mostly uses the more recently built chicanes, especially at the uphill. But one of the most unusual facts about this track is that the races are never held on Sunday. Due to a legal agreement with a nearby church, events must take place on Fridays and Saturdays. The confines around this place are tight, the passing opportunities are few, and mistakes are usually punished with race-ending damage. With most other road courses now being built with upwards of 3 and 4 miles in length, this track stands out. But in an age of multi-million-dollar facilities and flashy buildings, this quaint small circuit manages to keep fans coming back with its intimate and grassroots setting.
Now, DJ, it's quite an old layout for Lime Rock, but it's one that's going to be very familiar to a lot of the drivers, and it's actually going to be a nice, easy sort of midsection instead of having to take that chicane. What's going to be the biggest problem for these guys?
Well, Robert, I think the biggest problem is frankly going to be just being able to keep everything together. You know, coming up that uphill, as you mentioned, there's not the chicane there, and it's very easy, even in these lower horsepowered Formula V machines, to get a little bit of lift under the car. And so you've got to be very careful with the throttle application coming up the uphill. From there, though, going down the back straight through the West Bend and through the diving turn, it's all going to be about just trying to line yourself up for the best passing opportunity on the track, which is going into Big Bend. From there, we could see some good fight backs going into the S's and around to Big Bend again. But the biggest thing that they're going to have to keep an eye on there is the camber of the S's. Remember, when it's crowned a little bit in that corner, if you get down to the inside, you're all right. You're going to have a little bit of cambering to help you, but it flattens out on the outside, and it may make trying to go around the outside there a little bit difficult. But one way or the other, this classic layout in the Formula V machines, it's absolutely perfect. It's not too much technicality. It's exactly what these Formula Vs are made for, and I think it's going to produce a great race here this morning.
And I'm in the same boat as you as well. I'm in the same boat as you. Now, the actual layout of the track as well is going to be quite difficult with the open setup and the 40-minute race length. Now, we did see, and I couldn't even believe this myself, we did see one driver, Ian Gibson, go all the way around 40 minutes without taking a fuel stop. But the traditional setup is 40 minutes of race with an open setup and one fast repair. And it's going to be tight for fuel if they do try and fuel save, but I don't think they'll get away with it this time around. And we can see the details up on your screens. But before we go any further, we do have to take mention of our sponsor, Ring Free. a unified VoIP for your personal essential business. Find out more at ringfree.com. Choose connection. And if we move on to the championships, the Formula V Weekend Warriors has a tantalizing prospect on its hands. As I said before, David Gaspers, after his crash, only earned 33 points to go 6-3-9. He's minus 144 points behind Forens Arabian in first for the S1 standings. In third will be Myro Haraski with 480 points, Greg Stefani with 354 points, and finally, Matt Orr with 276, minus 507 behind Forens. How's the S2 looking like, DJ?
Well, Robert, in those S2 standings, you can see Thomas Renders having a pretty sizable advantage there over Johan Butenya to the tune of 166 points. Ian Gibson only 33 back, though, so a pretty good fight there, as well as Fabio Andolano there for fourth, and Simon Mayer very close as well. So while that first place may be going away for these drivers, that battle for second, very tight across the board.
And then the Masters, we have three classes today. We'll describe how they're set up in just a moment. But for the Masters, it is Tom Gradwell in first position with 523 points. In second, Kenneth Batley with 406. In third, Leroy Coppage with 385. Rob Hopp with 284. And Mike Taylor with 279. Kenneth Batley, if he puts in the good results and if Tom Gradwell still has a few oopsie daisies, we might see a switch around. They do have drop weeks in this series, so it'll be imperative they keep on going, getting the best results they can. It is going to be a bit difficult, though. As we said before, there's three classes. We have Pro, marked 0 to 199, who have 3K or more iRating. The Amateurs, 200 to 899, and then the Masters with 900 plus in their numbers, and who are 60 years or more of age. But they're not slow. These guys are nowhere near slow. They are quite fast and absolutely bring some masterclass racing. And as we can see, they're still getting practice in, even though they've already qualified. It is going to be interesting to see, though, DJ, how these guys handle a bit of cloud, though. The temperatures are not the best out there today.
No, they're really not. Only 83 degrees on the track, 28 degrees Celsius. That high humidity, though, may help a little bit, but the one thing that I would be watching out for is that very high wind there, 10 kilometers per hour, 6 miles an hour. Now, that may not seem like a lot, but in these machines, especially as they crest over the top of the hill, coming around the uphill, that could throw a little bit of wiggle into the car, and they're going to have to watch out for that. As we watch Greg Stefani, the Hoosier there, making his way around the track right now.
Yeah, Greg currently in a number 75, so he's part of the pros. He'll be testing to see how much speed he can carry, or how much speed anyone can carry through onto the climb up the hill in turn 5. It'll be interesting to see if anyone uses turn 6 as an overtaking spot, but we're going to say turn 7 is going to be very, very interesting, because you do have that pits on the right-hand side, so a lot of drivers at the pit stop time will be diving for it. On board with Forens Arabian, the unmistakably pink number 6, and he is in the hot seat. Now that he has a comfortable lead in the championships at the moment, not including drop weeks, he'll have to maximize on every single occasion he can. While he does have a pip over this guy, David Gaspers. Gaspers is going to be absolutely gunning at this race. He's made the mistake already. He does not have any drop weeks to save him if he makes another, and he is already going to try and gun it this race. Number 21 car having to put in all the work today.
Yeah, all the work around the board is there. You see them going. Now, this is going to be important, an area for them to follow. Now, obviously, virtually no downforce in these cars, but they want to figure out how they're going to handle closely behind one another. This is crucial. Even without downforce, you want to figure out braking zones. You want to figure out some of the style and the driving of your competitors. Ooh, as it looks like there we had it off in the back coming over the uphill. That's exactly what I talked about. You've got to lift off a little bit as you crest over that hill. If you're flat out and those rear tires get a little bit of air underneath them, they will really fly away. Now, Rob, that was pretty interesting there. We were watching here a lot of these guys practicing pit entry. It's a pretty tricky pit entry here. It's right off the main straight, and it's very easy to not be able to get down to speed, get onto those binders, and pick up a pit lane speeding violation.
That is going to be the absolutely most crucial bit of this track, the pit stops, because we have seen before in several places, as you so know, if you can pick up a pit stop penalty, it does ruin the race. And with these cars, if you do, you can't really catch up. There's no such thing as being able to drive the suspension off because it's very exposed, and don't hit it because these are quite fragile cars. You need to be careful, even if you are at pedal to the metal speeds. And as you said, it's going to be very dicey, especially with that short way to pit entry. And I do actually want to add in as well, pit exit's actually going to be crucial as well, because they're going to be exiting essentially towards the racing line once they close in on on turn one. Drivers will be switching in, trying to come from outside in, so they'll have to slot in essentially like a deck of cards more than anything else. And will we see some evasive maneuvers coming through turn one once the pit stops start happening?
I certainly think we could. You know, the traditional line going into turn one is to obviously take a very wide entry and slowly close it down to be able to get a nice tight exit on it. And what that's going to do is that's going to put you in direct conflict with drivers exiting the pits. So it's going to have to be a lot of heads up from both sides there to be able to get that right. And so I think that you're going to have to be very, very careful. It's also one of the things that makes overtaking so difficult sometimes down into Big Bend, is that if you're on that inside line, you really have to get on the binders and make sure you slow down so you don't understeer off into any of your competitors.
We're going to be seeing quite a lot of dicey operations. We see Jim Brewster, part of the Masters class, going around into turn 6. This dive into 7 is actually going to be quite key, because we're going to see quite a lot of, you know, it's not the biggest slipstream in the world, but it is slipstream. It's still better than nothing. You still gain quite a few kilometers an hour, and this wide berth of track definitely going to be providing a lot of overtaking maneuvers, but that sweep in is very, very dangerous. You can see cars having to sort of get to grips with the double dip, as it were, the turn 1 into turn 2. It's more like one solid turn, really, wouldn't you say, DJ?
Yeah, very much so. You've got to get that switchback just right, and you really don't want to come out of turn 1 too far to the left, as it can really compromise you. And yeah, you mentioned just how tricky it is to get that car wound up going through Big Bend. Very, very easy to lock up the rear brakes. You're kind of constantly having steering lock in there as you go, and you need to bleed the throttle off, do a little bit of trail braking to make sure that the car continues to rotate through there. And as a result, like I said, so easy to just barely lock up those rear tires and send you spinning off into the grass around here at Lime Rock.
And with Lime Rock, we do have the end of warm-up, so it is all systems go for these guys. And we do definitely wish them the very best of luck, but it will be down to the testament of them and the cars and how well they perform. We do have the starting grid, though. It is a full pace lap, so we'll be able to see how they navigate around. Florence Arabian starting on the front row, making good on his very good result at Charlotte Roval. Thomas Renders in second, David Gaspers in third, Greg Stefani in fourth, Tom Gradwell in fifth, Myro Haraski sixth, Rocco Horvath in seventh, Ian Gibson in eighth, ninth is Kenneth Batley, and in 10th is Flavio Andolo.
Starting off in 11th is going to be Theo Taylor, followed by Mikhail Vunic. Rob Hobb is going to be 13th, followed by Jim Brewster, with Mike Taylor lining up 15th and Mark Guillen behind him. Johan Butenya will be 17th, followed by Gary Woldbolt, with Nicholas Morelli in 19th and Jared Colo in 20th.
To finally round out the final row. Row 11 is occupied by Joe Marant and David Davidson. Now, DJ, I do notice, by the way, we do have 11 rows, though the main man of the show, in my view, which would be David Gaspers, he's not starting on the front row. How difficult is it going to be for him to move up on this first lap after they cross that start-finish line?
Well, I think it's going to be a little bit difficult there. I think starting in the back, you're going to be able to find a little bit more opportunity to get yourself forward, as there's probably going to be a kerfluffle or two going down into the Big Bend. But for Gaspers, what he's going to want to do starting on that outside line, he's just going to want to hold it there. I wouldn't necessarily be focused on trying to take out Ferenz as much as possible as I would just trying to get past Renders. Don't let Renders move over into the into that preferred outside line going into the first corner, and he should be able to be okay, get himself up into second, and then he can focus on the attack towards the leader.
You make a very good point. Both Ferrarans Arabian and David Gaspers are holding the inside line as they come up the hill one final time before they actually go green. It is going to be interesting to see how Thomas Renders handles it, and Greg Stefani is also on that outside line as well. It is going to be difficult to see how David Gaspers can handle this. They are just about to go green here as they climb down the hill, moving into the diving turn. They are going to be green flag racing once that green flag drops, and it's just a tantalizing moment of just seeing 22 cars of Formula V charge once that pace car comes in. The pace car is in. The green flag is being held up in the air. Once it starts waving, now green flag racing here at Lime Rock Classic as Farms Arabian already attempts to join the racing line. He successfully does, but that's David Gaspers on the outside. He is not joining it so far. He's side by side with Thomas Renders coming through the first turn, going onto the grass past that little bump there, but slots in just eventually, but held up for about a tenth or two more than he should have been. Coming through 3 and 4 through on towards the Big Bend. And nice and neatly, everybody does it, and we have clear racing.
Good start there from everybody, from these weekend warriors, and Gaspers doing exactly what I talked about, just positioning that car right and now setting his sides up ahead to the number 6. Everybody flying here through the uphill, couple of cars in the back trying to go too wide through there. They're going to have to be careful. That may not work well. Now as they work their way underneath the bridge, ready to go through the diving turn, Robert, this is where that draft, minimal as it is going to start coming into play. Gaspers certainly taking a look at it. I think Stephanie in the back as well. Gaspers moves to the inside.
We have Gaspers on the inside against Farns Arabian. He does have the clear line. Farns Arabian will have to go all the way around the outside if he wants to continue side by side. He doesn't. And that's Thomas Renders and Greg Stefani coming through. Greg Stefani on the inside. A very nice, easy move there. Just making sure that Thomas Renders sticks around the outside. It is very punishing, that 1-2, if you get caught around the outside. And we are on board with Myro Haraski looking forward on the top 4 as he looks to also get in the action. We do have a sprinter, Mike Taylor, in the background, but he has at least kept it out of the wall, I think. But we are still sticking with Myro as he moves up the pecking order.
Yeah, and you saw Myro there getting a little bit offline going into the uphill. That was a slightly defensive move, preventing Rocco Horvat from trying to do anything up front. Now it looks like that Renders is dropping a little bit of time to Stefani in front of him, but I think Myro here is going to have a little bit of a look. This is a good triplet battle here. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6 in a good little fight. It looks like up front, Ferenz is going to make a move to the outside. Oh, that's Stefani maybe thinking about trying to go through as well. Could we see Gaspers dropping down 2 positions going into the first corner? No, he's going to be able to hold that out. Tries to almost stick it around the outside there on Ferenz. Not going to happen, but they're going to stay in single file order.
That is David Gaspers holding off Greg Stefani successfully, but Farns Arabian slipping through, and you can just see how tight it is on the track. There is barely any space between 5 cars already, and it's only gone 3 minutes by. It is going to be a very long race for David Gaspers if he cannot get the gap and get running in first position. He'll have Farns Arabian and Greg Stefani, I think, throughout this entire race. He makes a mistake going almost way too wide into the wall, coming up the hill past the West Bend, underneath the Haggerty Bridge, on towards the diving turn. He needs to keep it nice and true, keep as much speed coming through as possible. does he do so? Coming on the inside as we are on board with Greg Stefani. Does Greg Stefani's making it 3 wide going down the main straight. He backs out just in time for turn 1 though.
Yeah, that's a late race move there, almost coming together with your former leader of Ferenz there, but he's going to be able to keep it on the inside, maybe fight it out a little bit, and make it work. Ferenz, it's going to switch back as they go back through the S's, and so that's going to be Stefani having to fall back into line. Renders holding on to 4th place. Miro Haraski doing a good job to keep off Rocco Horvath at a good charge behind. We look out the back of your leader right now, David Gaspers. That is Ferenz Arabian behind him, holding it on. Now, through this corner last time around, Gaspers had to check up a little bit, as you said. I thought that was really going to cost Greg Stefani, but Stefani able to hold it on, carrying some good speed through. There is Ferenz, and here we come onto the draft train of the straight again.
At 160 kilometers an hour, that is Farns Arabian moving on to the right-hand side of David Gaspers, once again making the move, using the slipstream, only 2 kilometers an hour, 1 kilometer an hour separating the two, but that is just enough speed to pip Farns Arabian ahead. Does anybody else make the big next move? That is the car 75 battling the car 64, Myro Haraski. A very good move there on Thomas Renders coming into the first turn, and Myro is now, he's let it loose. He's pushing up towards Greg Stefani. He saw the sights and he's like, I'll take this now. It's my time to shine.
Yeah, he thought being about very aggressive there, trying to get 2 bites at this same apple, but wisely backed off. We're only 5 minutes into this race, but Myro clearly has some good speed in that car. He's been able to really make some good moves, keeping Renders behind now, setting his sights on Stefani. He wants that podium position, and the way I've seen him drive thus far, I think he's certainly got it. But our eyes are going to focus back here on the leaders. They make their way down the diving turn. Is this going to be another swap per position? Indeed. Gaspers starts to poke his nose to the inside. They're going to be side by side going down the Samposi straight. Behind him, I don't see any moves quite yet. Renders maybe making a look at Myro. Myro now going to take a look at Greg Stefani. They're going to go 2 by 2 Noah's Ark style down into the corner.
And Greg Stefani having to hold off and back out as Thomas Renders also shakes it up with Rocco Horvath behind them. 2 by 2, 3 wide, or 3 times almost. In, as you said, like Noah's Ark throughout the grid from 1st to 6th, 2 by 2. David Gaspers, by the way, making the move on Farns Arabian just so cleanly. It's going to be like this for the, I would imagine, for the rest of the race. Just trying to see who will make the big mistake and let them by. David Gaspers, look how much speed Farns Arabian is closing in, by the way, coming up the hill. That is quite the speed that he has coming up the hill in comparison to David Gaspers. But David Gaspers, he's looking in the mirror. He not only sees 1st to 6th, he sees 7th and 8th, Kenneth Batley and Tom Gradwell in the back there, looking like they also want a piece of the pie. As we look forward with Kenneth Batley, he's making a move on the inside on the car in 7th, Tom Gradwell 909.
Indeed he is, but Kenneth looks like he stalled out a little bit there. I couldn't tell if he lifted or if that was just a straight stall out. That was a lift, I'm hearing from our director. So he didn't want to completely commit to that move. Up front, it is Ferenz. Ferenz being followed by Gaspers, Stephanie, and then Myro Haraski there. That is your top 4. Ooh, looked a little bit like Rocco Horvath. Got a little bit off line trying to get past Thomas Renders, but he's going to fall back into line like that. The one thing that I thought I saw was really interesting going through on the previous lap when Myro made that move to move his way up to the position, he almost threw a slider line there through the corner, Robert, of defensive line and the way to go. Maybe that's the way to try to start preventing those moves from getting done on you and just trying to think about, okay, at this point, I'm okay letting this draft battle happen. But once we get down to 10 minutes to go, I've got to be a little bit more defensive as here we go again. Miro and Gaspers both poking out to the inside.
David Gaspers on the inside there, the green and black car number 21 battling the pink car number 6, and that is also Myro Haraski looking to see if he can follow through with David Gaspers. Farns Arabian does not want this. He'll have the inside line coming into the S's, but it is posing a multitude of risks for Farns Arabian if he does not defend against the second charge from another car behind him who's trying to follow through. It is going to cost him more than just the one position where he can get that back easily. It is going to cost him more than that. So we can see there, every single driver is essentially lining up to have another crack at it, and that is going to be Greg Stefani almost hitting the wall, having to course correct very quickly.
Yeah, he got a little bit wide coming off the corner. I think that may have been the car getting a little bit of lift. And there under the Haggerty Bridge, there you see that draft coming into effect. Watch Miro Haraski here. Yep, he's thinking about it. He's going to tuck in behind Ferenz as Ferenz tries to go on through. Now this, I think, may be the move. If he can tuck behind in that draft and keep it up, he may be able to try to gain the position on Gaspers. No, he's going to back out of it, stay in position. So the lead swapping around once again, but Miro here really starting to think about how he wants to do this. Wider line there through the S's for David Gaspers. Not sure if that is just trying to get a little bit more speed through the corner. He may be trying to play with your leader a little bit as well, just keeping his wing mirrors full.
And that is a very valid tactic. David Gaspers using every single trick in the book that he can think of to try and psych Farns Arabian out and try and get him to make a mistake on his own terms. And all the way through, he's been absolutely hugging. The two of them have been hugging each other, essentially. It's one lap, I'm hugging you, one lap, you're hugging me through the rise up on the uphill. And again, we see this overtaking maneuver, and this time Ira Reski is actually sticking up, and it's 3 wide by Greg Stefani. I thought this was going to happen, but he's just not there. He's just not far enough forward to make the move, but he wanted to. He's actually thinking, you know, this 2 wide, chaps, it's not going well. I want this 3 wide to happen now.
And he really is keeping it by, and that's the first time we've seen some 2x2 going through the S's. That's him and Haraski there trying to hold it out as best they can. I think Haraski's, yes, finally going to slot into line. Now remember, that may not have been an outright attack to see this is where I want to go, this is how I want to do it. I think there's a little bit of planning involved in that. Thinking ahead 30 minutes from now, that we are really just trying to figure out where the move can be made on that last lap to make sure you time it and to figure out where that grip's going to be.
By the way, you can go to gsrc.tv for any live timing needs. Be keeping up with us and showing how the guys do it and how they're able to just pace by pace be able to do slight overtakes like this, and that Florence Rabin once again going through. And again, Miro Haraski again is trying the exact same thing as before, trying to hold the side-by-side action coming through the 1 and 2, and then he's having to give up because the track is just not giving it to him. It's really not conducive. Once you've made the move on the inside, at least one car in this case, it's not going to work for the second car coming through. There's just not enough track and not enough speed to do it. But kudos to him for trying at least.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a little bit what I talked about in the beginning. It's that cambering of the S's. That inside line has a nice on-camber element that you can carry some good speed there. But then the track crowns a little bit. It's not even necessarily that it gets off camber on the outside line. It's more that it just kind of comes back to center as we've got our first diver into the pits. But we also have a two wide battle. That's Haraski maybe thinking about trying to move his way up into second. Is he going to be able to hold off against Ferenz? No, but that's going to allow for Stefani to maybe have a little think. No, Haraski's still continuing to keep it out side by side through the S's. Here they go. Is this going to be the time that outside line is going to work for Haraski? He's certainly trying to make it. Good momentum there. It's now going to switch back, coming up through Big Bend, and Haraski's got it up into second, but Ferenz is still fighting him.
Ferenz is coming back through the Big Bend on towards the uphill. They're going to be side by side all the way through. Myron Haraski has used his lifeline and has tried to keep it going, but Faraz Arabian is not having it. And what's this done? It's actually given David Gaspers the gap he absolutely needs to be able to secure an absolute great position where he can race on his own terms, not having to worry about the guys behind. Now, Rako Horvath, he's pitted. He's the first one to blink. 10.6 seconds was his pit stall time. Cone to cone was 29.7 seconds. He is the first one to pit, probably the earliest you can actually pit on this track and still make good to the end. Again, another battle between Faraz Arabian and Myra Haraski.
Oh, they're trying to make that battle work as they work their way around again. I love the tenacity here from Haraski, really pushing it out as hard as he can, but that's going to be Stefani recognizing a little bit of a checkup, trying to make a move.
And Greg Stefani looking and very closely paying attention to what Myra Haraski does. Myra Haraski has actually bled a bit of a gap behind him as Florence Arabian is released from the clutches and is going back towards David Gaspers to remind him, hey, I'm in second, you're in first. I'm going to take back your position on turn 1, chappy. I'll race you to the end, and it'll be David Gaspers' race to... So... Is he going for it? He is. It'd be Myra Haraski again on the outside. This is 3 by 3 wide coming down. That's Florence Arabian backing out. Myra Haraski's in the lead.
And that's how you get it done, boys and girls. Write that down on a blackboard and teach that in class. That is a good draft pass there from Myro Haraski. Really able to get that up and going. Move him up into the first position. So now it is still back to David Gaspers. Let's see if he wants to make an assault here, or maybe if that move is going to allow for Florence Arabian to really start to get a little bit feisty. Greg Stefani also holding on to the back. They've got a little bit of a drop back to Thomas Renders, but not a whole lot behind Renders, though it looks like that may be Batley trying to get a move or two in.
Big loser of this, unfortunately, is going to be Thomas Renders. He started second, he's down in fifth. He'll have to, unfortunately, play the game, though. He can't make the move just yet. We're on board with him as he looks to see the 2x2. That's Florence Arabian and himself coming into the pits almost at speed. And the two of them really having to dive in. I think Florence has decided enough is enough. No more of this nonsense of overtake. Let's break away, have a nice clean gap in front of me, and maybe then I will think about undercutting or overcutting, and he's done undercutting this time by.
Well, looking at the map as I see, I think for both of these guys, they'll be able to come out in clean air. And so that will help them a little bit, especially the fact that they'll have a draft buddy here a little bit to play with. That could help them. Ooh, that's going to be a little bit tricky as those... That is Horvath getting by. All right, so the undercut playing out there for Horvath.
Horvath, 10.6 seconds in the pit stall itself. And compared to Florence Arabian of 13.5 seconds, so that is a 3-second deficit that Florence has to make up in order to really be back in contention, because he will be behind Rocco Horvath until the end of the race unless he can gain some time back. Now, Rocco Horvath does have Mike Taylor to worry about. It is for position for 15th, so you'll have to keep it nice and in check. And Johan Botenga is in the pits as well.
Yeah, so we're starting to see that pit window playing out here a little bit as things go along. I think one of the reasons why Horvath was able to get out and in the lead of those two is he was able to run in some clean air for a while. So while the draft does help you down the main straightaway, definitely, pulling you along and getting a pass being able to be made, clearly having to check up behind another car, hurting some lap times for them. So kudos to Rocco Horvath to be able to make that move. But we focus back here on that main battle that we've been following, the lead battle. As they run, it's Gaspers, Haraski, and Stefani running 1, 2, 3. That yellow machine, we haven't really talked about him much. That's Kenneth Batley and Tom Gladwell behind them, in that aqua machine. All right, that's Haraski coming out to the inside, going down into the big bend, and he is going to have the lead. So it now is Haraski, Gaspers, and Stefani.
David Gaspers is not fighting too much for any overtakes now. He's just letting it happen as it comes, and then having to take the overtake once the opportunity presents itself on the front straight. And I don't think anybody would judge him for that, but we have seen the power of the undercut, and the first one to actually execute it was indeed Rocco Horvath. And I just see Florence Arabian and Thomas Renders fighting with each other coming down into turn 1. So it is going to be a bit difficult for these guys who've not come in at the exact same time as Rocco did. Rocco definitely got the big break with that big gap ahead of him of 6 seconds. He'll just be able to race his own race.
He will indeed. And Stefani, the latest to take into the pits. I thought for a second that the Hoosier was going to make it 3 wide there, but decided to back off. So he's going to come in. Let's see if that undercut can work for him versus the leaders right now. Up front, Gaspers was able to get by Horoski as they go in. Now, remember, the normal pit stop time that we've been looking at here is generally around, I would say, 12 seconds. You can see Horvath stay stationary in the box, about 0.3 longer, but where's he going to come out in relation to the 14? I think he may have him.
Just by the sliver of his teeth, Greg Stefani is now ahead of Rocco Horvath, and that is doubly bad news for Florence Arabian, who still needs to make up a deficit of 2 seconds to the car ahead, as David Gaspers now has to deal with just 3 other cars behind him. He has got clean air, but not clean air behind it, because 3 drivers are looking to take a fancy of his pole position as Kenneth Batley moves onto the outside of Myro Haraski. Myro essentially boxed in. There's nothing he can do. And Kenneth Batley will try and seal the deal for second place. He does not go for first and keeps it going. By the way, Jim Brewster up into 5th. Well done on him.
Yeah, up 9 positions. So a great run there for Brewster. That's Mikhail Vucinic riding behind him, as well as Theo Taylor. So a really good run here for the Virginia driver in that red machine. Kudos across the board.
Rocco Horvath, by the way, getting by Greg Stefani in 13th. Michael Vucinic putting on a good race for himself, keeping it nice and quiet. I think that's the best way to put it. You know, a lot of these drivers just want to have a nice, quiet race. You know, not do too much crazy. And if they are in a battle, you know, let it happen to them. I think that's the message of the day for this race: quiet and steady. As you see again, Kenneth Batley making a move on David Gasper coming into first, but you see here, Michael Vucinic putting on some chemistry.
Oh, we've had a spin in the front. We've had a spin in the front. That is Batley around, and I believe that is also sent off
Tom Gradwell. Tom Gradwell.
Yeah.
Oh, and I've just seen it now, and that is a disaster for Kenneth Batley. This was the move that started it all. On the outside, he actually made the move stick, and then, I mean, you need to see it for yourself, because it's such a heartbreaking moment. Oh, just a little tap there from David Gasper sent him round, and through the smoke tried going Tom Gradwell, but the car just rolled backwards into him, and unfortunately it's not the best day for Gradwell.
Yeah, well, right on board from Gradwell. I think that coming together between Gaspers and Batley in front of them, that has the ring of a little bit of net code to it. Ooh, Gradwell definitely got a little hit there on the right front. It's hard to tell in these cars whether the damage is cosmetic or real, but Gradwell at least able to keep going here for the moment, but he's going to dive down pit lane right now.
Into the pits goes Tom Gradwell, all wheels still attached. It was a heart-stopping moment there for me once I was watching it, and it was a wheel almost popping off, but maybe, oh maybe, he escaped with just a little chip to the nose, and off he goes. We do have David Gaspers having to assess the situation. His nose may have taken some damage. It's not going to make too much of a difference for these kinds of cars, but too much damage on a nose makes a big old drag, because it exposes the linkage set of the suspension, and that is quite a hard surface to get rid of, and he goes into the pits as well.
Yeah, and remember, these guys do have a spare car, so definitely needed for that. I think that's why you saw Gradwell dive in right away, as well as Gaspers probably just thinking, you know what, if I do have any of that damage, it's probably the best thing. Now, this is going to set up something very, very interesting. Miro Horoski is running by himself. He's got Joe Morant ahead of him about 2 seconds up the road, but that's lap traffic. Now, he's not going to have the benefit of the draft at any point in this, and some of our previous leaders may have it. All right, there goes Gaspers out and on his way. Let's see who gets by him as they go. That's Stefani, Horvath, Taylor, who has not pitted. So Stefani and Horvath, he's good, but Renders and Ferenz Arabian, he is able to stay out in front of.
Greg Stefani and Rocco Horvath, the I've got this pit stop down medal today. 10.6 and 10.9 in the box respectively, 29.7 cone to cone. The only ones so far to go under 30 seconds for their pit stop cone to cone. Meyer and Rasky will be looking at what they've done, copying their notes and saying, oh, let's have a go at this. As that in the background is Jim Brewster coming into the pits. And he will be, I think, the lead. He is indeed the lead Masters car. So he will be, it'll be interesting to see where he comes out in relation to Mike Taylor. And the next pit stopped Master will be the car 909, Tom Grotewell, actually.
Will indeed. Brewster following down the order as he pits. You know, I have to say here, Robert, I'm not sure I necessarily like this position from Haraski where he is right now. Now, he is alone out on track as we watch Brewster getting back on his way. Haraski's got a gaggle of lapped cars in front of him. He's going to catch him here in about a lap. I got to think he's going to want to come into the pits right now and avoid getting bogged down. No, he's going to stay out. I think this has some real potential of costing him time right now. If I were Haraski, I would dive down pit lane, take my stop, and come back into an area where I'm actively fighting with drivers on the lap, especially with lap cars in a battle of their own that are less likely to get out of the way for the leader.
And we just had another pit stop by Gary Wohlbold, and he comes into the pits and get his kit all spruced up, fuel into the car to end the race. So it is definitely a race where people will have to pit. They are, unfortunately, I think it has been a fluke for the Charlotte Roval that Ian Gibson was able to go around without having to take a fuel stop. But Rocco Horvath is reaping the rewards, I would say. He's got a good gap of about 4 or 5 cars to the lead of Florence Arabian, so he'll be absolutely happy about that. But as you said, it's still Myra Haraski's race to play. He comes into the pits now as well.
Yes, he does. So this is where it all comes down to right now. He was able to time it right. He wasn't held up too much by those drivers in front of him in the form of Moran and Davidson. So he's coming down. I'm keeping an eye on Horvath and Stefani in that battle. You actually just saw them breeze by in the corner of your screen. All right, here they go. Haraski waiting. It's a bit of a long stop. He's on his way, and it's not going to be good for him. The lead is now going to switch back to Stefani and Horvath.
Myra Haraski spending a second too long in the pits. He did a 35 cone to cone, but in the pit stall itself, he lost time, so he's not joining the I've got the pit stop down club of Greg Stefani and Rocco Horvath. Greg Stefani leading Rocco Horvath around now. They're overtaking him in turn 1 and 2. It is going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Is it going to be like the Charlotte last round where it'll be overtaking maneuvers and then hoping and praying that you've got the overtaking done on the right lap so you have the lead coming across the checkered? Ian Gibson, Flavio Andolo, Mike Taylor have yet to pit, and they are ahead of some ways. Actually, Mike Taylor's in the middle of that group. He's looking like he wants to pit. So, with the rest of these guys now, no pit stops yet to make. They've already made theirs, and that is going to be Rocco Horvath taking the lead of those that have pitted.
Yes, it is. And crucially there, you can see that yellow machine behind Greg Stefani right now. Now, that is Kenneth Batley. He was up in this lead pack, but remember, had that contact and spin going into Big Bend. He's going to be a little bit of a cork in the bottle here, I have to think, to Gaspers, Arabian, and Renders behind. At least he would be, unless he is hearing what I'm saying and now is getting out of the way. And so there goes my point completely out the window.
It's unfortunate. It do feel like that sometimes, as the kids would say. But unfortunately, that is going to be unfortunate for your point, and it is going to be fortunate for me because we get to see some more great racing. But David Gaspers had closed in on that gap, and that's the car number 75 passing by Rocco Horvath. But look at the amount of speed that David Gaspers is carrying. He's carrying 164 kilometers an hour. He almost just pipped the 1 minute post, and he's passed 2 cars, essentially. He's passed Florence Arabian and now has put Rocco Horvath in between himself and Florence, and is now chasing down Greg Stefani. Goodness gracious, what an absolute lunge by Gaspers, using all the speed he could, and an absolute great run coming out of the diving turn.
For sure. That is just that benefit of the draft. And, you know, Robert, I talked about it earlier on that we're seeing a lot of sort of courteous, oh, after you, sir, type of passing. We're down with about 12 minutes to go. This is where the gloves come off. I think you're going to see some more aggressive moves like that continuing to be played out as this race goes along.
Looking on board with Thomas Renders, he'll be looking at this and eyeing up any potential position changes. That is going to be 2x2 like Noah's Ark, and that is going to be 3 wide as Barnes Arabian looks to seal the deal for first position. The gloves are definitely off now at this point, and that is going to be for the detriment of David Gassers, who thought he had it all made. And that is side by side between Rocco Horvath and Greg Stefani, as Thomas Renders just sits back and enjoys the show.
Yeah, Stefani got a little bit of a hip check there as they were going into turn 1, and that definitely put him offline. And kudos there to Horvath for recognizing that that was happening. He was offline. He was able to seize on that opportunity. So now they come up here through the uphill. Ooh, it almost looks like the Gaspers is trying to have a little bit of a look up there on Arabian, seeing if he has anything doing. And there they go. So 1, 2, 3 running very close together. Stefani, if he gets this rundown right, may have a little bit of a look, but I think the battle is going to be right now between these top 3.
Is that... Oh, I thought that was Greg. I thought that was Barnes Arabian looking to see if he could come into the pits, but he isn't. Bobby Adolo in the pits, 3-1 coming down the start-finish straight. It is all to play for, and nobody wants to give in. Nobody wants to even give a whiff of any fear or of any position, because it is so crucial to hold first position. The gloves are off. It is go time for these guys, and David Gaspers comes around the top this time. But I can tell you again, it's another 30 seconds where it happens all over again.
Exactly. It's one of the things that driving these cars on a heavy draft track like this, and that's going to be Arabian trying to make a look through the uphill. We have not seen that move happen just yet. They're still side by side, Gaspers and Arabian, as they now go down through the corner, getting down under the Haggerty Bridge, still side by side. That's Horvath starting to poke a nose in there. Are we going to see 3 wide down the main straightaway?
We're seeing an absolute helter-skelter. Everybody has it's just been mandemonium. It's absolutely beside yourself racing, because these guys have just decided, oh, that corner called the uphill, I'll pass on that now. Barnes Arabian now showing that it's more vulnerable than ever before. Every position is for himself. Barnes Arabian leading the charge against David Gaspers. Rocco Horvath having to look on the inside, coming through 1 and 2. Barnes Arabian has having a gap of 3/10 of a second, is going to be comfortable through here, but Gaspers being caught out, so unlike him. Caught out through here, of all places. I wouldn't have thought he would have been overtaking place, but the gloves are off, so I'm guessing it's make the pass where you feel safe.
No, if you've got it, you've got to go for gold. Riding on board the nose here with Greg Horvath. Just a note that all drivers have been into the pits, so this is the battle for the lead. Good momentum for Horvath, bringing it around to the outside. He's going to take this 3 wide down the main straightaway. That's going to be Greg Stefani tucking in behind the 14 to see if there's something doing there. Here they go, all out into the Big Bend with just under 9 minutes to go. Who's going to be able to hold it out? It looks like Arabian's late on the brakes. Gaspers is going to hold into that position. Horvath trying to hold on around the outside. I don't think he's going to have the momentum, and indeed Gaspers is going to shut the door going in through the S's.
Gaspers having to hold off from Rocco Horvath. He knows he needs to be exactly where he needs to be, and then make the move on the final moments and have enough gap behind him to do it and to seal the deal. But this is exactly what he did not want. He does not want any challenges, and again, Rocco Horvath looking to make his life absolutely difficult as they come through the West Bend underneath the Haggerty Bridge on towards the diving turn. The speed being carried through is about 157 kilometers an hour, and that is going to be David Gaspers making the move on the outside. Barnes Arabian covering off the inside, and that is going to be Rocco Horvath looking to make a move anywhere, shape or form, and that is Thomas Renders now putting his gloves off and saying, I'm here, I want to make some action. Thomas Renders and Greg Stefani in the background, as that is going to be Rocco Horvath hounding the car of David Gaspers.
Remember back 30 minutes ago when this was all calm and people were letting each other by? Well, that is no longer happening. These drivers fighting tooth and nail through those first couple of corners, holding on to those positions as absolutely best that they can. Oh, that Horvath maybe thinking about a move up the uphill, a la in the vein of Ferenz Arabian, but he's going to think better of it. They climb up the hill here. That's going to be Gaspers keeping nice and close. You can see how absolutely tight they are. Stefani definitely thinking about a move a little bit on Rocco Horvath, seeing what he can do. They're very, very close here. They come down out of the diving turn. Here comes the draft again. Who's going to go where? That's Gaspers darting to what will be the outside when they get down into turn one. You can see Horvath closing in a little bit. He's trying to have a decision behind them. Stefani and Renders side by side.
And that is going to be Ferenz Arabian looking to see if he can push David Gaspers as wide as he can possibly make it. And David Gaspers unfortunately having to let up, but David Gaspers having the inside line coming past turn 1 and 2 into the S's. He's going to have the inside line coming through the S's. Does he allow himself to make the move? Yes, he does. Makes it by Ferenz Arabian, but Ferenz is not going to let this up. He's going to try and move again, but that is going to be Rocco Horvath on the inside, making his way towards the uphill, and he's going to try and make the move. He backs out at the last minute, though. What an absolutely great stick in by David Gaspers, having to hold his thoughts, hold his breath, but that is going to be Ferenz Arabian around the inside of 6 of West Bend.
It is indeed. They come down under the Haggerty Bridge, and they're still side by side. That corner's going to favor Ferenz Arabian right now, and he's got a good run there going. Horvath very smartly getting the draft off of that purple machine. He's going to try to thread the needle, and he does. This is part for him. He's going to go down the inside. Just under 6 minutes to go. They're going to be 3 wide down in, entering into turn 1. Hopefully no contact there. Everyone very safe. Horvath backing off. Stefani sees a little bit of an opportunity, but doesn't fully go for the send. Now, that's going to be Gaspers maybe trying to keep a little bit more momentum down in through the S's, not able to get it done. They're still single file, and after all of that action, no positions changed for your top 4.
And as you said, everybody kept it nice and clean. Greg Stefani, he probably was beside himself with how much action he just saw, but he also just saw past Thomas Renders, and now he's thinking to himself, let me have some action here myself. It is going to be a long 5 minutes for one driver in particular, and that is the car 21 of David Gaspers, absolutely having to pull tooth and nail and pull out all the stops he can to try and make a move, because one car in particular, car number 8, Ferenz Arabian, is proving so difficult to overtake, and that is Greg Stefani with an absolute momentum of speed. He's going to try and thread the needle. I think so. No, he doesn't. He actually holds station behind David Gaspers, as David has a great extension past Ferenz Arabian coming through 1 and 2. Does he conclude the move into the S's? He'll have plenty of space to do so, and already Ferenz Arabian having to tuck in behind, hold station behind David Gaspers as they come through the S's, on towards the Big Ben now. Through the trees they go. Does Ferenz Arabian again pull the playbook to one side, tear out all the pages, and say, I will make them overtake when I feel like it, when I want to, and when you least expect it? Doesn't the number 6 car have anything to pull out for us in the West Bend? He doesn't. He holds station.
Well, that's going to be a crucial move, though, as we get down to the closing stages of this race. He's going to have to make that move if he wants to be ahead at the start-finish line. But what all this squabbling has allowed to have happen is that Renders and Haraski have been able to catch back up to everybody. Haraski, who we saw having good pace. Oh, my goodness. They're almost 4 wide going down the main straightaway. That's Gaspers trying to hold on to the inside line. I'm seeing Horvath and Haraski now getting into the mix as well. They don't come together as they go, but that's very wide there for Greg Stefani, who's going to be able to have the look on it. That's going to be Horvath trying to fight him. Gaspers holds on to P2. The line switches back to Greg Stefani. He holds it in. They're still single file, but Miro Haraski able to get by Thomas Renders, and now up into the 5th position. That car's looked very quick all day, and a bad pit stop caught him out, but he may be right back into this fight.
And David Gaspers coming up short once again. It has not been his race. He's having to make moves and concede just before he can execute fully. And Greg Stefani is now his bed bugbear as he comes through on the car 75. Will be hounding for position. This is for position, so all strings are off. All gloves are off. The tape is off. It is just then the machine and how fast they can make it. Again, 3 wide coming down the main straightaway. That's going to be David Gaspers in the middle, pipping out the post between himself, Barnes Arabian and Greg Stefani on the outside. That's going to be the car number 75 to your right hand side. In the middle, going to be David Gaspers on the left, the pink car, Barnes Arabian, and now David Gaspers and Barnes Arabian fighting each other through 1 and 2, onto 3, into 4, and towards 5. They're going to be absolutely pandemonium all the way through. And just as we see, that's not going to be, is that going to be Thomas Renders getting into the mix and Rocco Horvath? It is, it's just pandemonium for the top 6.
It really and truly is. Haraski there just trying to hold on. He had a good move going down into the corner, but lost a little bit of momentum. Now he continues to lose momentum. He's falling down the order. Little poke to the outside there for Arabian, trying to see if there's anything doing. Now they're going to line back in single file, preparing for the draft down the long Samposi straight. Laps here are about a minute long, so I anticipate this being 3 to go at the line. There they go. Little bit of a poke on the outside. They're 3 wide. They're 4 wide. That's a move there from Rocco Horvath as they try to go in. It's absolutely a hornet's nest. Everybody trying to break down. There's the contact.
Oh.
That's Rocco Horvath around. That's Stefani around.
It's all ended in tears for 2 of the drivers, Rocco Horvath and Greg Stefani, coming together, but it's still ongoing. David Gaspers is going around the outside, trying to secure the position through turn 3. He does indeed, but Barnes Arabian will have the speed on him. He'll have the slipstream coming up towards the uphill corner. The right-hander going up the hill towards the back straight. Does he make the move here? No, he doesn't.
No, he's going to hold it together here. So now it looks like they're going to come to the line and get the white flag. Now it all comes down to strategy, Robert. Just thinking about where do I want to position my car on the run down to the line. We've seen Arabian have some good attacks coming off of the uphill. Is that where he needs to be?
On the inside, David Gaspers has the lead coming over the white flag. It won't be for naught. It'll be in great position to hold himself in, as it's now again 3 wide. Myro Haraski has waited until the final lap to make his move, and make it he will. He will try his absolute best to pip David Gaspers to the post, and this is what Gaspers did not want. Gaspers wanted Haraski to hold station behind him, hold up Barnes Arabian as much as he can, and it'll absolutely ruin his chances of a championship if he loses any more points. He needs every single win from these next 2 races, this race and next week, and that is the car number 21 being followed by, we're following the car number 64, Myra Haraski, holding position, and here comes Barnes Arabian on the grass almost. This is going to be down to the absolute wire as they come through turn 6. That is going to be Barnes Arabian on the inside, coming through the Haggerty Bridge. David Gaspers is going to be absolutely upended if this is the way it's going to be. Coming through the line too, they have, oh crikey, there's contact between Renders, Gaspers and Arabian, and that is going to be Myra Haraski taking the win. Thomas Renders upends the order entirely. David Gaspers comes across the line, but only in 2nd place.
Oh my goodness gracious, talk about an ending to a chaotic race. Let's check out this replay. We ride on board with Gaspers. Now this is going down through West Bend and going down through the Haggerty Bridge and into the downhill, the diving turn. All right, so this is what it is. They come out of the corner. That's Myro up ahead, trying to hold on as much as possible. I think that was maybe a little bit of contact in the back there for Arabian. Let's watch it. He just sticks the clutch in and lets it coast across the line. I love it for David Gaspers.
You saw Rocco Horvath there coming across the line. He wasn't expecting to see a car being in reverse, but unfortunately, see with Thomas Renders, what happened to him, he just had a little bit of a wobble. He saw the gap open up, tried going through, and just, you can see just how quickly things can go from racing to oopsies in these kinds of cars. There's a lot of exposed elements there for these open wheel cars, and if you touch any single one of them, the cars will just be sent around. And I also do want to look at just at that lap as well. That lap had so much action. We also brushed over one important thing. The start of that lap, we had lost 2 cars. The 2 cars of Greg Stefani, and I think that would have been the other car. Here we go. The car number 75 being roped around. Oh, correction. Sorry, that is going to be Rocco Horvath, I think, making good on the mistake that he had with Greg Stefani, and this is going to be on the second to last, going over the line for the white flag, as we can see that it's going to be David Gaspers on the right-hand side, Barnes Arabian, purple car. In the middle is going to be Greg Stefani, and on the left is going to be the car of Rocco Horvath, and Horvath just tipped the post and sent himself and the car number 75 around. Unfortunately for Greg Stefani, he actually was caught out in a very bad position. He had to actually wait until cars were coming by to go back out on track. Fortunately for Rocco Horvath, he was able to right the car, get back going straight away. Absolutely pandemonium here at Lime Rock. We're just going to take a quick break, try and digest everything. We'll be back with you shortly with interviews and post-race analysis. A race for the ages at Lime Rock Classic, and we should call it this race the Classic race because it had absolutely everything in it. Myro Haraski pipping the post against everybody else. Out of left field he came and he saw and he won. David Gaspers, unfortunately, just not the luck that he had today. It wasn't on his side, but rolled backwards across the start-finish line to take second place. Rocco Horvath in third position. He thought his race was done for, but the tables turn and no race is safe until the checker flag waves. Barnes Arabian in fourth, Greg Stefani in fifth, Thomas Renders in sixth, Jim Brewster in seventh, Flavio Andolo in eighth, Gary Wolbolt in ninth, and in 10th was Michael Vucinic.
Coming home in 11th was Tom Gradwell, followed by Mike Taylor and Jared Collot, with Joe Morant in 14th and David Davidson in 15th. Mark Ian was 16th, and then Ian Gibson, the first of your cars, a lap down. Theo Taylor followed behind him with Kenneth Batley, suffering from an incident early on, and Jonathan Butenga in 20th.
And the two retirees were Rob Hump and Nicholas Morelli. Unfortunately, it just wasn't their day today. We do have David Gaspers, though, second place finisher. David, it was the climax result, I would say, of the entire Weekend Warriors season. What a absolute pandemonium. Take us through it for us there.
Yeah, it was just chaos with the draft. There was nothing you could really do to be anywhere. And whoever was leading in the first lap, in the last lap, was the one to lose. At least that was what I thought. But when there was too wide for P2 and 3, so Miro won anyways. And yeah, in the end, I got a bit lucky. I don't think I could have been any better than second place, and still got somehow second.
On the last few laps, it just seemed that everybody took the gloves off and just went at it. What was your main thought? Just try and be as you were on that white flag lap on the inside into turn one and expect any battles to come through on the uphill turn into turn 4 into 5? Or was it just hope for the best?
I was just trying to stay in the top 2 because it's hard to overtake someone who has draft as well. unless the first guy messes up. But yeah, it's, to be honest, this track is just annoying to drive in this car. You never brake if you don't have a draft.
And how? Take me through the draft. Was it powerful at all stages of the track, or was it just powerful where you could make a full throttle overtake? Let's say, for instance, we noticed that Florence Arabia made overtakes in the uphill and in the West Bend. Was it powerful through there as well?
Everywhere. I mean, except for the first two corners, everything is flat out, and you never brake the whole lap.
Well, at least the brakes stay cool. Do you have any shout outs or any comments or anything in particular you like to say? Any thanks or anything like that?
Yeah, as always, thanks for broadcasting it.
Perfect. David Gaspers, a pleasure to be with you and a pleasure to speak to you. Now, up next, we do have Rocco Horvath, and he has been talking with our boy in the sky, DJ Clark.
Well, Rocco, that looked like a big draft battle of a race. Talk me through about your mentality there for the majority of that, just kind of sitting back and letting sort of things come to you and finding where that draft worked.
Yeah, we were drafting a bunch, a lot of passing going on in the first 10 laps or so, and I had fuel to go to about lap 30, but I figured I would pit early, try to do the undercut, and it actually started to work. I was looking at the difference, and I was pulling a couple tenths a lap or so on them, and came out ahead of David and Forens, but yeah, they ended up catching, and then it was just game on. We were just passing each other every lap, and there wasn't a whole lot of strategy going on. It was just trying not to hit each other, and huge respect to everyone racing that we went so long going side by side for every single lap, and there wasn't contact until the second to last lap. So huge respect to everyone.
Well, talk me through that second to last lap. Obviously, you had the contact there, a little bit spun around. What was your mentality coming into it? Obviously, I know if I were in your shoes, I'd feel a little bit disparaged and go, well, there's my chance at a podium. And well, yet here we are.
Yeah, for sure. I thought it was all done after that. I was even surprised that the car was driving because it was a pretty big hit with Greg. And I watched the replay, and I definitely turned into him more than he turned into me. And it's just one of those things. Three wide going into one just doesn't fit. But yeah, no, I just kept going, and once I saw all the smoke going on to the finish line on the last lap, I was just like, gun it, just keep going, and I think I beat Forens by maybe a tenth or two.
Yeah, it was super close. But as we continue on in this season, any tracks you're like particularly looking forward to? You think you can replicate this podium anywhere going else?
You know what? I haven't looked at the schedule for the rest of the season. I have to miss the next race because I'm doing the 24-hour at Daytona, so I'm going to miss that one, but I'm not sure what's after that.
Well, I can say one thing, one way or the other, we'll be watching for it, my friend. Anybody you'd like to thank here for this podium today?
Always shout out to you guys, GSRC, for broadcasting. You guys do a great job. The Weekend Warrior series, as always, and yeah, just a big congrats to Miro on his first win and David on the second place. And yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Rocco. That was your third place finisher here today, Rocco Horvath. And now Robert O'Brien has caught up with Thomas Renders, your sixth place finisher.
Thomas, unfortunate it had to end that way, and it's commiserations to you. Sixth position is still good, though. Take us through the entire race and how climactic that ending was.
Yeah, I have to start with saying sorry. I really am embarrassed by that last incident. I should have just lifted. Yeah, but regardless of that, I think I did almost everything right. Maybe it took a little too much fuel, but yeah, I was just going to follow and trying to stay there. I've done some oval racing, so I knew that the whole track was full throttle. So yeah, I approached it as an oval race, really. But so just wait and try to survive and be there on the last couple of laps. But yeah, that mistake. It was really bad. It was a rookie mistake, and I shouldn't do that.
And yeah, I think everybody unfortunately has those kinds of mistakes, but we live and we learn. I do want to speak to you though on just 30 minutes. It seemed like 30 or 40 minutes of just pure anarchy at the front. What was going through your mind trying to navigate that group?
To be fair, like I said, I took an oval approach to this race because of the lots of drafting that was happening. Just try to survive. I didn't mind where I was in the group as long as I was safe. And yeah, I hoped that after our pit stops I would be there too. It was kind of risky because we had a small gap to Rocco, but luckily we managed to catch up to him because David and also a backmarker, I think Kenneth, who came in, who filled in the gap. So after that we were in the draft again and we could catch up.
Perfect. And one final question: are you ready for the final week at Oran
Yes,
Park?
I am. Yes, I am. I'm currently standing third and in overall, and first in the amateur championship. So I want to keep it that way.
I would say so as well. And just before we go, do you have any shout outs or any thanks you'd like to give to anybody out there in particular?
Yeah, I know that some people are watching tonight, so I wanted to give a shout out to them. Thanks for watching, and of course to the organizers and you guys broadcasting. It's always a good pleasure to watch it back.
A pleasure to speak with you as always, Thomas Renders. Unfortunately, it didn't go your way tonight, but hopefully we'll see you for the final round of the Formula V Weekend Warriors. That is actually going to cover us for today. It has been an absolutely great race from absolutely everybody, and we enjoyed producing it for you. Again, thanks go out to our sponsor, Ringfree, a unified VoIP for your essential business. Find out more at ringfree.com. Choose connection. Many thanks to the Formula V Weekend Warriors crew for hosting such a great race. Pleasure it is to cover it. And we'd like to thank you and anyone who has made GSRC possible, the companies and the people that provide software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to Julia Lund, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more of her great work. And I'd like to thank the team today, DJ Clark, Joe Peak, and Dougie. You can find out more info at gsrc.gsrc.com or through the social medias listed on your screen. Check out their merch store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. There's a link in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Up next for the Formula V Weekend Warriors will be Oran Park. Same time as before for the 4th of September. We also have the upcoming races, and they'll scroll across your screen as we end. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, race hard, race clean, and we will see you on the track.